Beginning on October 2nd, residents of unincorporated Polk County will notice improvements in their waste and recycling services. Polk County Waste and Recycling values their customers, and they are committed to making these transitions as seamless as possible. Find out how right here. You're watching Polk Waste Wise. Hello and welcome to this episode of Polk Waste Wise, the show where we bring you up to date on all things related to your Polk County waste and recycling services. I'm your host, Dion Spires. Now, we just had the rollout of the new hauler contract for Polk County Waste and Recycling Services and your new services on October 2nd, 2017. With any change, there's been a few speed bumps, and today I'm here with Anna Wood, Director of Waste and Recycling, to talk about what Waste and Recycling is doing for you to help make this transition as seamless as possible. Hey Anna, thanks for being here again.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been an invigorating week to say the least. We have had a lot of opportunities to improve services, and the first week, as anticipated, we had several issues with the collection of solid waste, and all those issues got compounded by the hurricane debris. Right. So the phone calls, yeah. So we have been working diligently with the new hauler. They have been very responsive and addressing any miscollection services. As you may recall, and the residents as well, the viewers of this show, one of our main objectives was to have a very robust recovery system, and it has been implemented, and it's working well. And like any other system, we need to ensure that we are looking at the entire process and making changes as needed to ensure that our residents are getting a very quick resolution of the issues.
For sure. So I want to talk first about, you mentioned that there were some solid waste hurdles to kind of overcome in the beginning.
Yes.
I've seen on social media is kind of a buzz with some missed pickup issues and some complaints of whole streets being without a pickup. Why is that happening? Can you talk about what's going on with that?
Yes, the reason we had a backlog of service is because with Hurricane Irma, when that was approaching, and coupled with Labor Day weekend, we had areas that were not serviced by a prior hauler. That compounded the situation come October 2nd. Unfortunately, it's not like you cut it perfectly in half and said, okay, this is the old contract, this is the new one. And our new haulers actually inherit an area that had a lot of debris, not only from residential waste, but also of Hurricane Irma. So those issues were compounded, and Monday, the first day of service, they had to go out there and literally walk through the streets and pick almost everything, and it made the routes longer. So we needed to adjust. We kept the landfill longer. So one of the reasons is the compounding effect of finishing the new contract, having waste on the street still, and then having the debris from the hurricane.
Okay. Now, I understand that it's going to take some time to really get this into a perfect routine here, but if this happens in the future where there are missed pickups, how should people be handling it? How should the residents be approaching that to get that recovered in the fastest way possible?
The best way to do it is through our online system. We have a very effective program that was implemented October 2nd, and that is the best means for our residents to communicate with us. And the reason for that is that system allows the resident to input whatever issue they have. If it's a miscollection, if it's that they need a bulk service. But one of the most important features of this program is the ability that we have in responding to the customer once service is done to validate that the service was rendered. If somebody calls on the phone, we don't have that ability because a lot of times people do not give us the contact information. But when they go online, they can check what is their preference and us communicating back with them to validate that the service was completed. And that is either via email or text or a phone call, and the system is capable of following up and returning that message to the customer.
And I imagine that patience is key here, to be patient with you guys as you're working to get this new kind of system going. If they've submitted a report once, they've been heard, right? As soon as they've submitted it to you, you guys are working to resolve that issue?
Yes, most definitely. The first time we either get a phone call, an email, or voicemail, by that matter, if the resident is calling during non-working hours, we are responding to it. And yes, asking for patience is one thing. I am a very impatient person, and my sense of urgency is really high. So I'm applying that system into our current system as well. Yes, I am asking for patience, but I understand that residents have very little patience, especially coming from such a long period of issues, service issues. So we're very sensitive to that, and we are looking at every call, at every complaint with that sense of urgency to ensure that our resident gets a quick resolution to whatever issue they have.
Yes. Now, the urgency is a good transition here. Let's talk about your phones a little bit.
Yes.
They have been blowing up since the start of the new contract, and clearly there's a sense of urgency with everyone calling.
Yes.
I know that you guys have a call center staff here. You guys are working diligently to try to get to everyone as fast as possible, but even with that, it's still backed up and people are a little upset about that. Can you talk about the volume that you guys are getting and why it's staying so busy?
Yes, when we were planning the call center, as many residents do not know this, but prior to October 2nd, most of the calls were going to the hauler, and the hauler was self-reporting their performance. October 2nd, we switched that, and the customer is paying us, the county, so we need to be in control of the quality of service that our residents are receiving. So we actually brought in the call center into our domain, so to speak. When we were planning the call center, our vendor told us approximately the number of phone calls they were getting. And at that time, it was like around 1,200 calls per week. We multiplied that by 3, and we were gearing up like for 3,600 calls per week. We also introduced a new telephone system, and we extended the lines. Last week alone, we had 9,000 calls coming through our system. We do have a staff of 15 employees that are dedicated to answering telephones, and we have a receptionist that puts all the calls through it. And that even with that number of personnel, we still experience backup because people want to talk. And unlike somebody just ordering, like fast ordering food, you say, I need something, a lot of our residents want to tell the story. And our employees are listening to the story and ensuring that they get satisfaction. So it's not just answer hello, bye, and hang up. Right. It will be rude for us to do that. So we are going through the process of keeping the calls as effective as possible, but without having the customer feel rushed or that we're not listening to them. So yeah, it's a balancing act, and we are tweaking it, and we are improving. We're getting more lines put into the system. We're also going to be looking into having more people answering the phones, and at least for the next 2 or 3 months, and then hopefully by then everything will go back to normal.
That's great for the residents to hear that you guys are being proactive and making those changes to try to accommodate the number of calls that you're getting. So let's talk about the nature of the calls. I imagine that you're getting a variety of topics getting called in about. What are the primary types of calls that you're getting? We are getting,
we have a wonderful manager of the call center, and she very quickly, Jennifer Hayes, she very quickly implemented a survey to see where were the calls coming from, why the volume had exceeded 3 times what we were anticipating. And obviously a percentage was about miscollection, and that was last week, which was the first week of service. Miscollection, garbage, but a large percentage was also about the hurricane debris removal. As many residents know, that is a service that is not directly tied to waste and recycling, even though it's a collection of debris. That is being handled by a different department and a different vendor. So we are taking extra volume of calls, and it took the capacity from accepting calls from our customers about legitimate complaints, and that also created the busy signals that many residents were experiencing.
Right. And if I'm not mistaken, there is a contact for the debris removal, and we'll put that up on the screen as a graphic here so that the residents can see who they should be calling for those types of issues. That way they're aware that there's a difference there.
Yes, and then again, that is to the level of customer service, even though the sense of urgency is high in getting every call. A lot of residents don't want to call another number, even though we do have the number. So it's great that you will be advertising the number that they need to call directly. But once they call our office, my policy is not to tell the resident, it's not my job, call another number. We still want to, take the address if possible and direct them to the new the phone number that they need to call, contact directly. So we're trying to be a one-stop shop when it comes in customer service, and a lot of times residents are calling us even with things that are not directly from our service, but we try to help them and make sure that we just not transfer them from one office to the next.
Right, yeah. Well, great. Quality customer service.
Yes. Sometimes painful, but yes. Because our experience, it kind of backs the system up, but yes, right. Priority.
Well, we're going to give the viewers a little insight into what that quality customer service looks like. Why don't you guys take a look at this? We're going to take you behind the scenes to show you what a quality customer service call is like here at Polk County Waste and Recycling.
Thank you for calling Waste and Recycling. This is Gracie. How may I help you? Sure, I can look that up for you. What is your home address? And that's in Lakeland, 33811. Thank you, one moment. Thank you, yes. With your new vendor, your household garbage is on Tuesday, along with your yard waste on Tuesday, and recycling is going to be on Wednesdays. That would be like leaves, branches, limbs for pickup. Your weekly. Okay. Okay, and the county is sending trucks through the whole county to pick the hurricane debris up. Okay, so that's something that you don't have to call to request to have that picked up. They're sending trucks throughout the whole county to do that. All you have to do is sit at curbside. All right, I can give you our phone number for that department if you'd like to call to get more general information regarding that. Okay, are you ready for the number? Okay, that's area code 863. That's gonna be 451-3357. Okay, yes ma'am, I can, you are scheduled for today, and I'll go ahead and send them also a notification. Oh, no ma'am. No ma'am, no ma'am, that's no problem. I can go ahead and do that for you, okay? But you are scheduled for today, and they do work from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Okay, is there anything else I may help you with? Thank you for your calling. Have a great day, bye-bye.
That was a quality, customer-centric way of handling the phone calls that are coming in here at Polk County Waste and Recycling. If you're just joining us on Polk Waste Wise, we've been talking about some of the hurdles that they've had to kind of overcome and work around since the beginning of the new contract on October 2nd. And now I'm here with Anna Wood to talk a little bit more about how you guys can most easily get in touch with them to report these issues. We were talking before that break about how your phone lines have stayed pretty busy since the start of the contract. What are the other ways that people can get in touch with you guys aside from the phone calls?
They can email us, and they can also log into the system, into the Cubular, and report whatever service issues they have, either miscollection or if they need a bulk collection pickup. That is the most efficient and expeditious way to contact us. And that also allows us the opportunity to capture vital information from a resident, such as a phone number or an email. And that way, whenever the service is completed, when we receive feedback from the hauler that service has been done, we have the option to email or text the customer directly to verify and confirm that the service has been done. And that way, when the resident gets home, they can confirm with us, yes, it was collected. So it's like a 360 kind of system to verify that services are being rendered in accordance to the customer's expectations.
Cubular is a web-based service, and it's easily accessed through polkwastewise.net, your guys' website. You mentioned that's the most efficient and the fastest way to get in touch with you guys, and I think it's important to show that it may be hard to see on the camera here, but you guys are constantly monitoring these requests through a screen right here in your office.
Yes,
so tell me what people can see back here.
Well, one is all the calls that are coming into the system, and the blue is people that are busy right now with calls. And if somebody's idle, it's also showing there if somebody's on project. And the next screen is actually all the requests that we have had or areas where the trucks have been. And we have the ability to look at both things. We have the ability to look the breadcrumbs as to where the truck has been and also where the concentration of issues are. And they are, constantly feeding the screen. So at any time, I can come out of my office and look at it. And if I see an issue, I can call the holder immediately and say what's happening in this area.
Very effective.
Very effective. And we have 2 sets of this type of information throughout the office.
Oh, okay. So it's all over the place.
Yes,
Everyone's
yes.
monitoring it, not just you.
No. All of us have a sense of urgency. Yes.
So we're going to show the residents sort of a step-by-step of how they can easily access this Q Alert service to report their missed collections and things like that directly to you guys.
Yes.
Take a look.
To access the Q Alert system, open your internet browser and type in www.polkwastewise.net. Once on the home page, click on the Find Your Service Day icon. Accept the disclaimer and key in your address in the white box. When the gray box appears with your service days, click Submit a Service Request. This button will take you to the Q Alert system. Enter the personal information that's requested on the page. It will only ask you for basic contact information and information that is necessary to service your waste or recycling items. Click Continue to request info. This page will request more information about the issue at hand. Type in the address at which the problem is located. Click under What Type of Issue and select Website Citizen Request. The drop-down menu that appears will list Bulk Pickup Request, Hurricane Debris, Missed Pickup Request, or Other. Select the appropriate option and click Continue with Request. Enter any comments that you may have regarding the issue in the white box on this page. Below the white box, you may click Upload Files to upload any photographs or documents which may support your request. When finished, click Submit Request, and Polk County Waste and Recycling will get back to you as quickly as possible.
Once again, Q Alert is accessible via polkwastewise.net, right there where you can find your collection days. Now, Anna, we're going to dive into a little bit more information about recycling. We've talked about recycling in the past, but with this new program, it's definitely different from what people are used to. In the past, they had a wide variety of options. They could throw pretty much anything that they wanted to into their recycling bin. Now, the list of accepted materials is a little bit more refined. So talk to me a little bit about why this is different and why it's more effective of a recycling plan.
It is different in the sense that we are refining, I like your word refining, the materials that we are harvesting from the waste stream. And our main objective is to ensure that whatever effort goes from the customer part on putting something on that cart, that is actually going to come back again and it's going to be reused, it's actually going to be recycled. The industry as a whole is going through a lot of changes right now, and it has been since early 2010 when the single stream recycling collection program started kind of emerging in the industry, and the contamination rates are high. Back in the day, people could put anything and everything, and we had a hungry nation that was looking for inexpensive raw material to grow the economy, and that was China. And China, once again, is closing its doors to a lot of the materials that are being collected and the residential curbside programs, and many of the plastics will no longer be accepted come the end of this year, December 2017. And we had to make the decision to ensure that the materials that we are collecting or harvesting have the greatest potential to either make it here in the United States, that we keep it in the United States and recycle it, or if we're going to export it, like most materials are, to China, that they will be accepted there as well, and that we will not be polluting rivers and oceans in nature's landscape all over the place. So it is more of a responsible way of doing the program, with the understanding that as technologies advances and more methods of recycling become available, our program will expand in the future. But we want to make sure that the materials that we are collecting have a new day. Not everything that you put in the recycling cart is destined to become another product. And I think that is the difference of our program.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a proactive approach to kind of prepare for what's coming, and it's something that can continue to adjust based on that industry? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it's also, we have to remember something. Packaging is evolving rapidly, and sometimes our communication specialists often tell me, Anna, you sometimes explain things very lengthy, and people may not get the essence of what you're saying. So I've been practicing and distilling my thoughts into a content that will be easy for us to communicate with our residents. Packaging is evolving rapidly. We have a desire for cheap, faster, and better. And to accomplish those three things, manufacturers have to design and innovate packaging. When they do, their goal is not, is this product recyclable? Their goal is, how can I transport the most goods at the least cost and to reach to us, because we want it cheaper, faster, better. And we are the driving force in creating all this packaging sometimes that doesn't have a utility value in the recycling arena. So we have to be mindful that not everything that we buy is going to be able to be recycled, and sometimes it's a change of behavior. But our main objective is to ensure that if you're going to take the effort to put something, to harvest it from the waste stream and put it in the recycling cart, that it will be destined to a place where it's going to become a usable material to be recycled. And in that note, a lot of residents are sending us social media messages about how this is, going to destroy the earth. If you look at the pyramid that is well known in the industry, recycling is the third best option. It's reduce, reuse, and recycle. So a lot of times we just have to look internally and say, how can we make the most impact in the environment? And unfortunately, I cannot make you happy just and say, okay, put everything in the bin, because I am responsible. I am responsible to ensure that the materials that we collect in have a better life in the future.
Absolutely. So one of the things that, if you look at Polk County social media, one of the biggest concerns amongst recycling is the plastics.
Mm-hmm.
The plastic guidelines have been changed a little bit as far as what's accepted, and one of the questions is, why won't you go by number to kind of ease the understanding of what's accepted and what's not? So can you address that, what the numbers?
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to address that. The number system at the bottom of most containers of packaging, including bags, is actually the type of resin that material is done, or the predominant resin that material is done. For instance, I have a good example here. This is a number 2, and this is one of the materials that we accept in a program. This is also a grocery bag, and it's also a number 2 if you look at the bottom. But this bag is actually not collected in many programs in the United States. Everybody knows that it's a nuisance, it's a contaminant in the residential collection program. I encourage our residents to visit the Environmental Protection Agency website, the EPA, and just type plastics, and you will see how they're migrating from the number system, because that number is not synonymous to recycling. It was never intended to be. We in the industry created that 4 decades ago to make people start recycling and make it easier for them. But in the process, 4 decades ago, 40 years ago, people did not envision number two becoming so many different types of packaging items. So that is the reason why we are going to a descriptive, more showing the picture and describing what type of material it is. And that will facilitate communications eventually once people get used to. And that is the approach that we took. We use, a gallery of pictures and saying this is what our program is collecting. And do keep in mind that our program will expand in the future. We just need to be cautious. It's a lot more manageable for us to expand than to tell residents do not put it, to be taking in and out items out of program.
Absolutely. And I want to ask you too, for kind of a greater understanding, those are the same number of plastic, they're very different plastics, like you said. If those were to mix in a recycling program, what would be the effect of that? What would happen to these plastics?
Well, typically what happens is when something is contaminated or it has plastics that are not, that don't speak well, they're contaminants and they are rejected. And then when they reject materials, typically, one of the issues with plastic is one of the number one pollutant. Post-consumer plastics are one of the number one pollutants that you will find in nature, oceans, river, everywhere you go. In the most remote places of this earth, you're going to find plastic floating. They have plastic islands that they have created. So that is what happens. And a lot of our residents or social media users are making the connection that all we care is about money, and that's the reason we're not taking all the plastic. It's not that we're all about money. The reality is that I need to have a demand. Somebody had to be willing to use this plastic container in lieu of virgin material. I cannot force them to do it. So if the value is there, if this is clean and they can use it, they will. It's not about that we are just looking for the money and that's the reason we're doing this. It's because we need to meet the demand and satisfy the need of commerce. And this needs to come back again. And the only way that's gonna happen is if we provide quality products to the marketplace, to the end users, to the people that are really gonna recycle. Us putting it in the bin does not equal recycling. That is the first step in a multiple steps that will follow. And we need to ensure that every step is the right step so that product can come back again and we can use it again.
Well, thank you, Anna, for that explanation to kind of give some more details on that aspect of the recycling program. Let's talk about some good news with the recycling program. The carts, they're coming earlier than expected, that second wave of carts.
Yes.
So they're coming in November now instead of January.
Starting November, yes. We will start delivering starting November 1st instead of January 1st. And that was a combination of logistics. Our new haulers were able to look at the routing and help us, and also listening to the desire of our customers who couldn't wait until they put the right container into the bin. And so we accelerated the delivery date to November 1st.
Okay, great. And one other thing that's going to help significantly in making this run smoothly is people knowing that they have new collection days and following those collection days.
Yes.
So just a reminder to the residents out there, you do have new collection days. They're available via polkwastewise.net. There is a video on our YouTube channel that will show you step-by-step how to access those collection days and follow them. So thank you so much for talking about these subjects, Anna, and wish you the best of luck moving forward.
Well, thank you so much. And remember, we need a willing buyer for this material. So help us out and help us out put the right materials and let's start recycling right in Polk County.
That's all the time that we have for today, but if you want to see this episode again, it will air on PGTV Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 1:30 and 7:30 a.m. and p.m., and it will be on our Polk Government YouTube channel. If you want to get in touch with Polk County Waste and Recycling, their number is 863-284-4319. If those lines are busy, you can contact them via email at polkwastewise@polk-county.net, or you can contact them the fastest and most effective way via Cubular on polkwastewise.net. We'll see you next time.